Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Welcome to episode 247 of the All the Books Show, the official podcast of the David A. Howe Public Library, where we talk book news, author news, and literary news. I'm Eric Mickles.
And I am Nick Gunning.
Yeah, and Nick, how you doing in quarantine?
Oh, boy. Boy, oh boy.
This is our first... No, it's not. This is our second full episode while we're in quarantine, because so many of the episodes were pre-recorded in a much happier, simpler time.
Absolutely, which really I think was a heaven sent. I mean, we were just
ridiculous.
We were just being practical then, but it was been so helpful to have those episodes like locked and loaded and ready to go. But yes, it has been. I mean, it's been since March. Since we actually recorded in the same room. Right. And outside of like bumpers and intros, the only full episode we've done together was Poetry Month with Malik.
Yeah.
And that had Malik. So this is the first time without
it's like the
any
first
special
real
guests,
official episode, yeah.
with no interviews, no special guests, just you and me and a couple of microphones talking about Star Trek Generations or whatever comes up.
Yep.
You know.
No, we don't have to talk about Next Gen.
Well, we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see.
All right.
But yes, it's been a minute, so it's a pleasure to talk to you again. How my isolation is it's going okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think, having a kindergartner with us at all times is trying to get him to do those school assignments and that sort of thing has been it's been a unique challenge.
Right.
But for the most part, hanging in there. Can't complain too much. What about you?
I'm good. I've been printing out a lot of inspirational posters. And then like charging people like $25. Yeah, it's cats. It's like the cat poster hang in there, but it's a picture of me.
Oh.
So I then charge people $25 for that poster.
You know what? Your wife should put those up on the Etsy store that she just started.
That's true, yeah. Miss Music Box.
Listen, I would buy one, is all I'm saying.
A picture of me on a branch saying hang in there?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
If those are for sale, you got your first sale. That's all I'm going to tell you.
Victory, it's a verb.
Yeah. Yeah, I never thought of it that way.
But my quarantine is definitely different than your quarantine, mainly because instead of a child, I don't have a child.
You have the Criterion channel.
I have the Criterion channel.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
So
it's a big difference. Man, should I this isn't bookmark mode. Let's just go to bookmark mode.
Do it.
All right. So I'll just list. So back in for Christmas, on Christmas Day, my wife got me a 4-month subscription to the Criterion channel, which is pretty cool. And it just expired. Actually, it expired last week.
Just going to say, Christmas was 5 months ago now. But
yeah, it just expired. But every day for the past week, I've been getting an email saying, by the way, your account will expire the 5th. And then the next day, it will expire the 6th. So every day I've been using that. Yeah.
Yes. That's how I feel. How you're feeling right now is how I feel when on Hulu the commercial starts to load, but then it freezes and skips back to the episode.
Mm-hmm.
That's the jackpot. That's money in your pocket. Wouldn't trade that joy for anything.
So I watched the Samurai Trilogy, Samurai 1, 2, and 3.
Was Samurai in there, or is that
no? That's just 30 Rock.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So this is Mifune Films. I watched in January. They did a whole Sci-Fi. 70s Sci-Fi month, which was sweet. So out of the ones I hadn't seen, I watched No Blade of Grass, THX, A Boy and His Dog, Rollerball, Death Race 2000, and Dark Star.
I have always been curious about THX. Is it good? Is it worth watching? It's George Lucas, right?
It's a effects reel in a lot of ways.
Okay. And now much like the Star Wars movies, George Lucas has gone in and messed with that a million times too, right?
I think he has. Yeah, he's added stuff because I was watching something like, oh, those are good special effects for the 70s. They're not. Yeah. They were changed sometime during the prequel era, I think.
Now, does it still include? Now, that's the one with Ron Howard driving around in a Nash Rambler, listeing to 1950s music. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Richard Dreyfuss decides not to go to Vietnam or something.
Not gonna go.
I can't remember. I watched In the Heat of the Night, Urban Rashomon, The Beast, Birdman of Alcatraz, The Man Who Fell to Earth, The Big Heat, The Getaway, Eraserhead, Near Dark, Hollywood Shuffle, Redbeard, In a Lonely Place, Mulholland Drive, Picnic at Hanging Rock, and A Cult Is My Passport.
Wow. Is Caddyshack 2 in the Criterion channel?
It's not. I think it's just in the Criterion collection, so you can still buy the Blu-ray, but it's not on their channel. Probably a rights thing.
I'll tell you what, I've always wanted to get the Criterion Collection version of the Michael Douglas movie, The Game, because it's one of my all-time favorite movies, and I would love to do a deep dive into that. Are you a fan of that movie?
I've never seen it.
Have you? Oh, well, if it's on the channel and your subscription
It
expires.
just ended. It expired today.
Oh,
I had finally put the little locks up. It's like, we saw that you watched The Cult as my passport last night. Enjoying it? Click.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And last night I was still riding high.
Swimming in your neighbor's pool when you think they're out of town is basically what you've been doing.
I was riding high. I'm like, they're never going to expire this. And I just was adding more and more films to my to-watch list.
Good for you.
So, listen, I don't know if you've ever seen Hollywood Shuffle. It is hilarious. I have never seen it until just recently when I watched it, and it killed me.
I have seen Hollywood Homicide with Harrison Ford.
No.
Is that similar? Different.
No, different. I don't think Hollywood Homicide is considered to be funny by anybody.
Okay. Well, agree to disagree, I guess. No, that's a terrible movie. Not even Josh Hartnett was able to bounce back from that. He's who knows where he is.
You know, he turned down Chris Nolan for the role of Batman. Like, it was offered to him.
I did hear that, and I also heard he was in the running for Superman at one point. He was
going around as a name for a lot of stuff. But like, when you look back on it,
burned too bright.
Yeah, I don't even know what like he was super famous for at the time.
Hollywood Homicide?
No, there was something else. I mean, he probably hit it big with one of my favorite movies, Black Hawk Down. But I don't think that
makes sense.
I don't think like anybody was like Josh Hartnett. I don't know. He was in the Virgin Suicides. Maybe he was bigger than I'm giving him credit for.
Mm-hmm.
Sin City.
Okay.
A little bit.
All right. So that's what you've been watching. Have you tackled any books? Or are you still on a book hiatus?
I'm not on a book hiatus. I'm just on a book like, I don't want to read. I don't want to do anything. But I am reading The World Without Us by Alan Weisman. Mm-hmm. Have you read that? You've watched the documentary? Something about that. The World Without Us, The World Without People. It's the whole if somehow people were just instantly gone or raptured or something, what would happen to the world? Yeah. So I'm reading the book.
There was a miniseries called Life After People, and then they turned that into a couple seasons of a show. Yeah, I was fascinated by that show. Is the book good?
I watched the mini. I mean, the book's good. It's a bit slow. I just want to get to the parts like talk about how the subway systems turns into an underwater canal.
Yeah.
You know? Like, tell me how more.
I liked when skyscrapers were like jungles and that sort of thing.
Yeah, cats have wings. Yeah.
That's the Animorphs. You're still thinking of the Animorphs.
I like, it's fun when it's like it talks about how, or at least the documentary had, the book hasn't yet, about like which dogs will survive. Yeah. Out of all the dogs we've bred, which ones will actually survive in this new world? Or like, if zoos collapse, what will the ecosystem look like if like rhinos are now part of the American West?
Yeah.
That's kind of how long like certain buildings.
I love the show.
Stay up.
I love that show.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Something I think it was like there would still be lights or some sort of power on until like the Hoover Dam collapses. Like that's one of the last things to go.
Yeah.
So and then when that's gone, it's just like a blackout.
Yep.
So that's the book I'm reading. I am reading so many X-Men's. I don't even remember what the last X-Men's that I said I was reading was. Let's assume.
Listen, the way that we've recorded these episodes for the last like 6 or 7 episodes, I couldn't even begin to guess.
Did I feel like, oh my gosh, yeah, you're right. I feel like
we were like, I finished this, and then the next episode we were like, I'm starting this.
Yeah, all right. I finished X-Men Gold. I finished X-Men Blue. I finished X-Men Red. I finished a certain X-Men comics era, the pre-exterminated era, basically. So those were fine. Gold had its moments. It was trying to be a bit nostalgic, a bit retro. It was trying to harken back to the Chris Claremont era. It didn't really succeed in a lot of ways because it told a lot of boring stories with a lot of boring new characters.
Okay.
There was the wedding issue where Colossus and Kitty Pryde were supposed to get married. Keon supposed to. The X-Men Blue and Extermination wrap up the whole X-Men from the 60s and the present storyline.
Okay.
Extermination was better than I thought it was going to be, mainly because it kind of feels important. I've realized while reading this stuff, I just need the stories to feel like they have weight to them. Either they just need to be 100% goofy fun, or they need to have some weight to them, because I have a hard time just reading filler stuff. And so Extermination weirdly had some weight, but I'm pretty sure it's the artist who, like, I'm in love with his work.
Yeah.
In that one. I read X-Men Black, which is a bunch of one-shots about X-Men villains, but really funny issue went to Mojo. Listen, this whole X-Men Gold and on, Mojo has been in a lot of different places. Don't take your headphones off. I can see you.
Sorry.
He was so funny. I don't know. In X-Men Gold, they kind of played Mojo instead of being the role of like the publisher making bad calls on titles. He's playing now the role of like the long-term fanboy who's the real fan and doesn't want all these new characters. He wants all the classic characters he grew up loving.
Nice.
I kind of dug that. I finished Old Man Logan, and so I also read Dead Man Logan, which finishes up the Old Man Logan run.
I started that run, and somewhere along the way, I just got away from it. I don't know.
Yeah, kind of like Old Man Logan himself.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Was it good? I mean, is it worth picking up again?
Yeah, I really enjoyed that series. The solo series, Old Man Logan, was like pretty good because it felt sort of separate from the other stuff and was able to do its own thing.
Okay.
Able to like do some unique stuff with Old Man Logan, whereas when he was just in the other stuff, like if he's in an X-Men title, he kind of just fades into the background.
Yeah.
I read a Multiple Man series by Matthew Rosenberg, and I love the character Multiple Man. This book was stupid. It was trying to be funny, but it was not. Okay. It was bad. I read Mr. and Mrs. X, a Rogan Gambit series, which was really fun. I finished an X-23 series. I finished a Dominoes series. I read The Return of Wolverine. I finished the Iceman series. I read X-Force's new series, and also Uncanny X-Men 1 through 10. It's in X-Men Disassembled. This is all leading up to the Age of X-Men mini-series, mega-series thing, but I actually really enjoyed those 10 issues. It really felt like stuff was happening. It was cool. And I also read some Punisher.
Nice.
So Punisher got the War Machine armor. That was fun.
Okay.
He does with it what you imagine he would do with the War Machine armor.
Sure.
So, yeah. And so right now I'm reading six different miniseries, the Age of X-Men thing. So I'm reading those as part of my X-Men reading.
You mentioned Punisher, and that reminds me of something you said in another podcast, not this one, but in Three Nice Things you were talking about the Thomas Jane Punisher. Mm-hmm. I also liked that, and I also think that would still hold up pretty well.
Yeah, I think it's Rotten Tomatoes score, I think is still pretty low, but I just remember it being like, it had a lot of unique Punisher moments. It had a lot of straight from the pages Punisher comic elements. It was more stylish, I think. Maybe not so much camera-wise, but it was more creative than I think you expected a low-budget Punisher film in 2004 to be.
Yes, but I think some of the problems. I just rewatched Daredevil and Electro, so that's where this is coming from. But one of the things that Punisher has going for it that Daredevil doesn't is that the Punisher movie just knows what it is and does that thing the whole time. Whereas I feel like Daredevil sometimes is like, we're all hyper stylized and look at these crazy shots, and then other times it is just so like paint by numbers and formulaic that the two just never jive, and so the movie just has a real identity problem. But I think Punisher just is a Punisher movie, and whether you like it or not, that's what it sets out to do, and that's what it succeeds at. But so you've been reading a lot of Marvel comics. I've been reading a lot of X-Men comics, and it really has been like every now and then I'm like, oh, that's a lot of X-Men, and then I go back to Daredevil and Punisher. But yeah, once I catch up with X-Men, it's either do I go back and get back to the 90s stuff of X-Men that I was going through, or do I... It's kind of sad because I'm almost caught up. After Age of X-Men is the House of X Powers of X stuff. And like when I start going through my library of books of comics to read on the Marvel Unlimited app, there's no more X-Men stuff because I've read them. Wow. Yeah. That's quite an accomplishment. It's been a journey. So yeah, I've been on a X-Men Marvel kick for sure. Absolutely. I too have been reading a lot of Marvel comics. I see. You started so you could get back to finish your Hulk run. I did. Yes, this is a Hulk run that I was reading as they came out back in 2013. Yeah. And I got away from it, but with your help. We were both doing it, and then you stopped, and I think I finished it, but after I moved to Florida, and I used that library system to do it, because it got really confusing which book you were supposed to read in what order. Yeah. Yeah. And so you helped me figure out how to get back on track with that, and so I did. And so I finished the Fall of the Hulks, World War Hulks zone. We talked about that a little bit. After that, I feel like it sort of finds its groove back again. The main Hulk series, which starts to follow just Red Hulk, becomes this really colorful, like splashy, kind of like what you were saying. It's not super heavy on substance, but it is just like big and
Yeah.
crazy and fun. And so I was having a great time with this. There's a volume in particular called Hulk Scorched Earth, and it's just Steve Rogers sending Red Hulk on basically a Suicide Squad type mission, and he ends up on a planet with like dinosaurs with Green Hulk, and they're just like fighting crazy dinosaurs. I loved it. It was some of like the best Hulk that I've ever read. I put that right on the top. So
Right.
check out
There.
Scorched Earth. After that, we go into a bit of a Planet Hulk retread with Planet Red Hulk. That one didn't do it for me at all because it tried to be a little bit more serious and tried to be a little bit more grounded in its look, and it was just like, bring
Mhm.
back the primary colors and the just big ball of destruction. That's what I want when I read Hulk.
There was a Thunderbolts run.
Oh,
That's like the Marvel villains, but it was led by Red Hulk.
hmm.
But the team wasn't villains. It was Red Hulk, Deadpool, Elektra, Agent Venom. That's Flash Thompson with the
Yeah,
Venom suit, and Punisher. So
that sounds fun. Is it not fun?
it did I say Ghost Rider? Ghost Rider was also in it.
Okay.
It it was good sometimes and not as good other times, but I'm not a huge fan of Red Hulk myself, so you might actually dig it.
Okay. Well, at this point, I'm just following. Like, I went back and read some She-Hulk leading up to this, and I've just been following the Red Hulk storyline. And eventually, the book changes into Red She-Hulk. But
Hmm.
then after that, I don't know where to go. So maybe I'll pick up this Thunderbolt series and then get into the Jason Aaron stuff. But
Yeah.
I've had a good time with the Marvel Unlimited app. I read a lot of Iceman, some
Yeah.
of the older miniseries that
Yeah,
I
I've
hadn't
read
read
that.
before.
What's the one by? Oh, it doesn't have
Dan
the title.
Slott or Dan Abbott.
The Dan Abbott. Yeah, actually, that was
Yeah.
one of the first. That I remember being like on the floor at my comic book shop, going through old things, and he had these 4 issues packed
Hmm.
alongside the Rogue mini series that came out the same
Yeah.
time. And I just thought the art by it must be Andy Lanning. I thought the cover art was so cool.
Yes.
I mean,
The
this.
internal art is
Yeah.
not as cool. It's
No,
very
but the cover
goofy.
art. I mean, this is in 2001. Marvel had a specific look in like 2001 that appealed to me just getting into comics. So yeah, I bought those 4 issues, and yeah, it wasn't great. Like he's going to save his ex-girlfriend and her kid from the Yakuza
Hmm.
or the Hand. I don't even remember.
It's not the Hand. I think it is the Yakuza. Yeah.
Okay, and it's 4 issues, and yeah, it's not great, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Agreed.
liked it a bit more than you. Oh wait, no, I gave it 2 stars.
There you go.
Wow.
I also read a Silver Surfer called Silver Surfer Devolution by Greg Pak. I didn't really like it. It was
Mhm.
about Silver Surfer losing his powers and just becoming human again.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not really invested in Silver Surfer, so for him to have that like paradigm shift didn't really hit me, but that's more on me than anything else.
Yeah, it
I
is.
am currently reading still Murder She Wrote: A Time for Murder.
Oh.
This is actually the most recent book. It's book 50 in the series. And this is written by John Land rather than Donald Bain, who was a longtime writer on those. The two I've read with this new author have been better than the series has been in a long time, so I'm having a good time with it.
Mm-hmm.
But my reading has been really slow. I think that's why I've been reading a lot of comic books because I've just been I have the app on my phone, and so when I have a few minutes
Anything
here
that
and there,
requires like absolute brain power, I don't have it right now.
yeah,
So
yeah, well, yeah, that's what I've been saying. It's like I've just been sticking to real comfort food type stuff,
Yeah.
but even that, I'm finding it's taking me way longer to do
At the
things than I
beginning
normally
of-
would. So I don't.
at the beginning of lockdown, like I wasn't really watching movies or TV shows or anything. I was playing video games and I was reading, and I was coming up with all the stuff I was gonna do, and after a while, I was like, brain no want to focus. I didn't want to put energy into any video games that required any brain power. I didn't want to read. So now, I have been watching just a bunch of movies and reading a bunch of comics and just looking outside and like, do you remember the aquarium?
You know what? I watched an Acorn TV series starring David Tennant called Dead Waterfowl, and it just didn't do it for me. It was 4 episodes. It was not. I don't know. It just wasn't that deep, and there was a lot of problems that I just thought like, well, there was a cop who was really involved in it, and he ended up being like a driving force in the case, and I'm like, no way would a cop that involved with these people be on the case. So like that bothered me. and there was never really any twists, and it was just kind of like, oh, well, that was a waste of time.
Right.
So I didn't particularly like that. With my son, we watched Shazam! Magic and Monsters, which is a son. No, yes, which is a Lego movie. Our friend John Davey was not in it, unfortunately, but it was your friend Sean Astin, who you met at that con last year. Sean Astin reprises his role as Shazam, and it was kind of a sequel to the Lego Batman movie Family Matters, which was really good. There was a little Shazam tease in that, and I thought it was just kind of an Easter egg. But actually, this movie, Shazam! Magic and Monsters, picks up right where that movie left off and has some tie-overs to that. So I wouldn't have thought the Shazam movie was connected to Batman Family Matters, but it was. I enjoyed both of these movies quite a lot, and I've been really hit and miss with these, like the superhero Lego movies. Sometimes I'm just like, this is a boring kid movie. But both of these, Family Matters and Shazam! Magic and Monsters, my son really liked, and I really liked too. So, but after last week, I've been in a Shazam mood anyway, so it was just the right time to do that.
I don't know if I've watched any like new shows. We finished Schitt's Creek, the 5 seasons. We haven't watched the 6th season because it's not on Netflix yet. We just like binged through that, and we're pretty sad when we were caught up. We watched Middleditch and Schwartz on Netflix.
Okay. Yeah.
It's 3 episodes, 3-hour-long episodes of what's his first name? Middleditch. He's from a whole bunch of stuff. Thomas Middleditch. You'd recognize him if you saw him. He's from Silicon Valley. And Ben Schwartz. And it's an improv show. They take a question. They ask one audience member questions about something that they're looking forward to or dreading, and then kind of delve in with more questions. And then they base the next hour of improv off of what they were doing. And it's very funny.
Cool.
It's surprisingly funny and well done to think that you can sit through an hour-long improv show and it's gonna be funny and it's gonna make sense at the end.
Wow.
It's actually like so shocking how they tie it up at the end.
Speaking of Ben Schwartz, did you watch the Parks and Recreation special?
We did watch the Parks and Rec special.
Did you enjoy it?
That was fun. It's a little bit too sappy for me.
It's definitely sappy, but I felt like, everybody was involved, and I thought they all really nailed the characters. Sometimes when you revisit, it doesn't feel the same, but I thought that really felt right to me.
Yeah.
So I think they did the best they could with what they. I was impressed with.
I forgot. I always forget that Ron Swanson and Tammy 2 are actually really married in real life.
Yeah, I know that was
Megan Mullally, nice. And so like when the camera turned and she was there, I was like, oh right, because she's in lockdown with him. That was funny.
Yeah, that was funny.
We watched the SNLs at homes.
Yeah,
the second one was better than the first one. So much fun to see them bring back What's Up With That.
Oh, I know.
That was so funny.
I agree.
Especially in that thing, because they brought back what's his name?
Jason Sudeikis.
They brought him back to do his dancing. And Fred Armisen on the saxophone.
Yep.
That was good stuff.
That was great. I agree.
Yeah, fun stuff. And Adam Sandler was so funny in his little really cameo bit for that song.
Yeah. And Rob Schneider showing up. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
It's like, no, Ron.
Yep.
Yeah. Did we watched Atomic Blonde? I don't know. We've just been watching a bunch of stuff. I can't go through all of it.
I finished a game. I've been playing through a game called Miles and Kylo. Are you familiar with this?
No.
Okay. It's I am
familiar with the phrase Miles and Kylo before I rest.
No, that's different. Different.
Okay.
This is like it's one of those games where it's all about the repetition, like the levels are probably like 30 seconds long once you finally do them right, but to do it right you have to go and do them a million times. It's going for kind of a Mario look, but it doesn't feel,
it definitely has that Mario vibe.
It doesn't feel like a Mario game at all when you're playing it, but clearly they're inspired by that.
Sure.
But yeah, that was one where it was like, you go 2 seconds, you die, you go 2 seconds, you die, and you keep figuring it out. So I've been playing this. I like to have like an assortment of games that I can play readily with my son around.
Has he been liking this one?
Yes, he has been liking this one.
Because I remember
when
you were having a hard time with the
Celeste.
later Mega Man games, he was getting fed up with you.
Yes, he was. He was. Yeah, especially when you couldn't, like, there was no save points in the later ones. He was like, I will not watch this again. But no, Miles and Kylo, he was in it to win it the whole time, and we just beat that. So
I wonder if the dog is helping.
Yeah, you know what? The dog levels are super hard because sometimes you're just the kid, you're just Miles,
Hmm.
and you're going through and you're jumping and sliding and throwing fruit at monkeys and that sort of thing. When you're the dog, like you run and you grab the dog's leash and then the dog runs and doesn't stop. So you cannot stop or pause. You're just in constant motion with the dog.
You
And
would
those
think that
those
a
are
dog would
really
be
hard.
very good at stopping and pausing.
Ah,
Huh?
I would say that this one was anytime you do one of these games where it's all about like memorization of patterns, it's such a fine line between like frustrating and fun. And I think this one was a little, just a skosh on the annoying side. So
Okay.
do with that what you will. But I did finish that. And this sort of transitions into book news. Are you ready to do
Well,
that?
I was gonna say to go along with that. I've more alongside my brain being burnt out. The only games I've played and finished in the past little bit has been Mega Man X and Super
Hmm.
Metroid, both games
Okay.
on my Super Nintendo Mini.
Wow.
So like I've just been like I just want to read X-Men comics and play 90s Super Nintendo games.
I fully get it. I fully
So
understand.
yeah, I think you know what I think you would dig Mega Man X. I don't know if you
Okay.
you have that collection, but I
I
think it
don't.
makes some
No.
improvements with the Mega Man franchise. I mean, I'm talking about a game from 1994, but
Right.
it makes if you liked the original Mega Man games, I think you would dig Mega Man X. So
Okay. I'll put it
I
on the
think
list.
you should check that out. But yeah, all right, now you can get into the news. I'm good now.
Well, it's still video game, but
Oh,
it's
fun.
it's video game news, and that has to do with the game Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. You know this one,
Oh yeah, is
Jedi
this
Fallen Order.
news?
Well, it's a little bit news. A few weeks back, when Amanda and I had an impromptu discussion about Star Wars games, we were talking about this game a little bit because we both have similar frustrations with it, with the mechanics feeling very dated. And I was saying, like, I don't think anybody really cared about this game, and I wasn't seeing really good reviews or hearing a lot about it. Did you have that experience too?
Jedi Fallen Order?
Yeah.
Super popular.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. So then I guess I'm just totally missing it then.
Yeah.
But after that, like after having that conversation, I see that they've announced that it's basically the start of a new Star Wars franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Like EA has confirmed that it's the start of a
Yeah.
new like trajectory, and there's going to be like more games in this
Oh yeah.
coming. And now there's a huge patch, like a 40 gig patch,
Yeah.
that
They
I
had to do some stuff.
that I can't download because we just downloaded the whole Halo collection, and it took
Mm.
up all my
Oh
space.
right,
So
because on the Xbox you do have all the games. On
yeah.
PC, they're releasing them like a title at a time, with months
Oh
in between because they were
no.
never. Only the first two games were ever on the PC, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm so excited because I've only ever played the first Halo game all the way through,
Oh okay.
which I loved.
Yeah.
It was one of my favorites, and I did the co-op mode uh,
Yeah.
as a kid. It's so much fun. So
Well, that's exactly why I got it because we've been looking for a cool co-op game, so we got that. And even that, it's huge, so I had to clear a bunch
yeah,
of stuff off,
who are
which
you
was I
co-oping
was glad.
Halo with?
You could do it local. Just my wife and I are gonna play.
Oh, fun!
Yeah.
I so many times with my friend deciding he was gonna get in the Warthog and drive away, so I throw a sticky grenade on him, that blows
Wow.
up, and just we didn't get anything done.
Good times.
There's
All
no
right.
there's no crossplay yet though between
Yeah,
PC and co-op, which I think is absolutely insane because
it
it's
is
just a
insane.
Microsoft game.
I know.
So
I don't get it.
I don't understand if they're waiting until they're all out or something. It's so frustrating because those games are great co-op.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to playing it.
yeah. There's so much co- like so many books you can read in the Halo verse.
All
And
right.
there's actually, I think it's either Halo 4 or 5. There's a Halo game where people complain that it expected you to have read like the book trilogy leading up to
Oh.
it. I don't
Okay.
remember what it is, but like if you're into, expanded novelizations of that stuff,
And
Halo
we know
has it
that
for
we
you.
know that I am.
I have a friend who didn't read too much stuff, and he didn't have a lot of books. He was my roommate at one point. He didn't own a lot of books, but he owned a couple of Halo novels. So at a point that was big business.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, we were. I don't. We weren't really sure exactly which game that we should start on because it's not really clear, like on the running order, just when you start it, where you're really supposed to begin.
Yeah,
And
what's a
looking up
prequel?
online, everybody has different opinions on where
Yeah.
you should actually.
I would just say
so.
start with Halo 1. I imagine
Yeah.
the because one's a prequel and like they've been releasing them out in chronological order for the PC. But
well, a lot of what I read was what Halo Reach, I think, is what you're talking about as the prequel, right?
Yeah.
A lot of what I read was saying that's a better introduction to the controls, like to get you into the controls if you've never played before. But I don't know, you know.
I would just say you start with the first one because then the games get better technically, or maybe.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I will keep you posted.
Yeah. Reach is
for those who
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, that was it. Reach is the first one, like chronologically. Okay. I think that's the one with Nathan Fillion in it.
Ooh, fun. Okay. I'm down for that. Nathan Fillion does some voice work in Destiny as well.
Yeah.
So it's always fun when he shows up.
Did you see somebody took like deep faked him into the Uncharted games?
No, but I'd play it. That sounds good to me. I'm ready for another one of those. I've not been able to fill that all, I'll tell you.
Get the PSP, man. Or no, a Vita?
I know. Yeah, it's a Vita. I need to get the Vita because there's 2 more games on it.
Goodness.
I have to play them.
Yeah.
All right. Let's take a look at the Edgar Awards.
Edgar Awards, of
course, announced every year by the mystery writers, and these range all across the genres down to age groups like young adults and junior. Yeah. Covers TV shows, covers movies, the whole shipping. Fiction, nonfiction.
Episode you alluded to, the one where we were with Malik for Poetry Month.
Yeah,
we talked about the Edgar winner.
Yeah,
which was Long Way Down.
Yep, that because we were puzzled as to why that one won. But yeah, so let's go ahead and take a look at this. This is over on the edgars.com.
All right.
I'm going to save best novel for last.
Oh, what a mystery.
I know.
So what are we starting with?
Well, let's just start with best first novel, and we'll sort of go down from there.
Best fish novel.
First. You said fish, but it's first.
Did you say fish? Oh, you know what? I'm looking at Robert L. Fish Memorial.
Oh, there you go. So really, there's a reason for you to say fish.
That's great. Milwaukee Noir.
Understood.
Yeah.
All right. The best first novel, the winner went to Miracle Creek by Angie Kim.
Ah, sure. How do you feel about noir? Film noir.
You know, I think it's one of those things that is so easy to overdo or to make like campy or cheesy that I think it's a dangerous proposition, but I think when done well, it's very good.
I like neo-noir. It's one of those things where like I want to really like classic 1950s film noir, and then you watch it and like, oh, it's just a still painting and somebody being like, oh wait, the gun's here.
Yep.
So I guess I like things that appreciate and work with what made noir cool in the 50s, but it's harder to go back to like even like the Maltese Falcon. It's just watching somebody fritter away his day until he's like, there's the Falcon.
Best paperback original. The Hotel Never Sink by Adam O'Fallon Price.
Yeah.
Best fact crime.
Ooh,
The Less People Know About Us, a mystery of betrayal, family secrets, and stolen identity by Axton Betts Hamilton.
Goodness.
Best critical/biographical, Hitchcock and the Censors by John Billheimer. You know, this is one of those times where all of a sudden everybody's writing about the same thing, but I feel like there are a million Hitchcock books coming out lately.
I haven't noticed that.
Yeah, we must be coming up on some sort of anniversary or something. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
Best short story. Do you have these up? You want to do juvenile and stuff?
Yeah, I have juvenile stuff.
Best short story, One of These Nights, from Cutting Edge, New Stories of Mysteries and Crime by Women Writers, by Livia Llewellyn. And best juvenile, Eric, what do we have?
The winner for best juvenile is Me and Samson Handle the Apocalypse by Susan Vaught. I'm familiar with this book.
I like the title.
Yeah, okay.
How about that?
Yeah, they got the Whispers up there. Whispers is cool.
Okay.
All right. Young adult. Catfishing on Catnet by Naomi Kritzer. I'm familiar with this, but also I'm in quarantine, so I'm not familiar with anything anymore. Patron Saint of Nothing is there, and The Deceivers are there. I'm familiar with those. Now,
I remember that we talked about Patron Saints of Nothing because that was up for a National Book Award.
Yes. Yep. It's even
so we covered that as well.
Yeah.
Best TV episode teleplay. We have a couple here of an Acorn TV show called Line of Duty, which I haven't actually watched yet, but it's on my list. I keep getting people recommending it to me.
At the library.
Manhunt, yep, with what is that guy's name? The guy from Doc Martin. Martin Clunes is his name. Yeah, I've heard good things about that as well. But the winner is A Line of Duty, teleplay by Jed Mercurio for a season 5, episode 4.
Oh, congratulations, episode
And
4.
our first posthumous Mary Higgins Clark Award
All right.
goes to The Night Visitors by Carol Goodman.
Mm-hmm.
The G.P. Putnam Son Sue Grafton Memorial Award goes to Borrowed Time by Tracy Clark.
Speaking of mysteries,
yes.
I also just finished watching season 2 of Mindhunter. I quit Mindhunter at a certain point because I was just watching too many dark shows and I needed a cleanse.
Yeah.
And I was watching Gotham, I believe, at the time. Yeah, it was a juice clip.
Those were dark days.
But because I've got all this time, I was just in it, and I only had 4 episodes, so I just binged them all. It deals with this is old news now, but season 2 was dealing with the Atlanta child murders, and it's just so frustrating because they were never solved. I mean, they recently reopened the case, but 27 victims still unaccounted for in terms of their killer. And watching the show, it's just so frustrating to see the FBI goes to visit people who are involved, who have lost people, and you're the first person to come talk to me, and you're just like, what? That's
insane. That's completely insane.
It's a dark show. The thing that works for me with Mindhunter is it is very dark, and there is gruesome stuff in there, but a lot of it is talk. When they interview the serial killers, they're talking about it. It's not that they're showing the murders and everything. So I think maybe that's just it. I don't have to see any of it. I just, you know what I mean? But anyway, I like the season. I hope it comes back. There's word that it might not ever come back.
Oh.
Because Dave, the director, wants to do other stuff in between, and Netflix doesn't want to have the actors on hold. So.
Speaking of TV shows not coming back and our earlier conversation of comfort food, my wife and I have been watching a lot of sitcoms, and one that is the ultimate in comfort food is a Matt LeBlanc CBS sitcom called Man with a Plan.
That got canceled. Sorry.
It's just one of those, it's him and Kevin Nealon from SNL, and it had its premise in season 1, and then it just kind of moved past that and was just these are all old pro actors who are just funny and work well together, and it's been one that we've really enjoyed. Right. So yes, I was sad to see that season 4 will be its last, but a 4-season run, pretty solid these days.
A season more than Matthew Perry.
That's true. So, that's very true.
There you go, Joey.
Anyway, for more on the Edgars, you can go to theedgars.com, and that'll give you the full list of nominees, all of the winners, as well as some of the other awards that were given out. So that's theedgars.com.
Did I talk about the For All Mankind? The Apple TV.
If you did, I don't remember.
I watched the first episode of Apple TV's.
Yes.
Okay, I couldn't watch it because the lead is Joel Kinnaman.
Yeah.
The cracked out.
Yes, from The Killing or Suicide Squad.
Right. Ugh. Why would you cast him in the lead of anything? He's the most.
The man works.
Sleepy faced. He's just so gross to look at. I hate him. Did we say the winner of Best Novel?
Oh, no, we didn't.
All right,
Good
the
call.
best novel
the winner
for
of
the Edgar Awards.
Go ahead.
Is The Stranger Diaries by Ellie Griffiths.
So, you know what?
What?
This is on me, but we don't have this in our collection. I'm gonna have to get it.
The nominees for Best Novel were Fake Like Me by Barbara Borland, The River by Peter Heller, Smoke and
Which
Ashes.
we featured. Do you remember? You featured, or I think I featured The River on a Sexy New Book Club.
Yeah, you did talk about that.
Forever
Which one
ago.
was that?
Yeah.
I don't even remember.
It was a long time ago.
Smoke and Ashes by Abir Makarje, and Good Girl, Bad Girl by Michael Robotham.
Okay. One more.
What the problem is? I'm focusing on the Robo part.
Yeah. And are you thinking of Jim Carrey's performance as Dr. Robotnik in Sonic the Hedgehog? Is that why you're getting distracted?
Also, I've been on a Peter Weir kick, which is why I watched Picnic and Picnic at. Oh, what's the movie called now?
Picnic at Rock? I don't have the Criterion channel.
Yeah, you. Well, I just said it on this episode. Cut all this out.
Okay.
Picnic at Hanging Rock is what I watched. That's a Peter Weir film. He's an Australian director, but he also did Fearless with Jeff Bridges, which I finally watched. It was free on Vudu with commercials. It's the one where Jeff Bridges survives an airplane crash, and so he thinks he's invincible, basically.
Okay.
He believes he's already died, so he's like a ghost now.
Right.
And so it's just this drama about him dealing with that.
Hey, real quick, is that the same plot as The Sixth Sense? No, as
No.
I'll cut that. I'm going to cut that too. Is that the same plot as Unbreakable?
No, because he doesn't have powers or anything in Fearless.
Oh,
He's just a man who's ruining his marriage because he's living that way. But who played? What was the actress who played Montoya in the new Birds of Prey movie?
Oh, Rosie Perez.
Yeah, she's in it.
Oh, okay.
She was, I think she was Oscar nominated for her role in Fearless. Anyway, I like Peter Weir. He directed The Truman Show.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember that because he said Jim Carrey, Truman Show. There's an interview with Jim Carrey where he talks about, somebody's like, what sequels would you like to make? And he said he wouldn't want to make The Truman Show 2, but he's always thought of Truman after The Truman Show and how everybody's now filming themselves and recording their lives. And it's basically what he tried to escape, and he feels that Truman would be just as lonely outside the bubble as he was in the bubble. And that's very sad.
That's probably true.
Anyway.
You know, I've seen Dumb and Dumberer, and I don't think he should make any more sequels. But I am eagerly anticipating season 2 of Kidding, which is coming out soon, his Showtime series. That was such a weird...
That's what I heard.
Just kooky, mildly upsetting show in season 1. And ended in a very... unexpected way, and I just need to know what happens. I watched that whole first season in one sitting.
I remember,
and as you know, I never do that. Yeah. So that one just got me. But oh boy, let's see. I've lost track. Where are we at now? Oh, I guess we're still in book news. You want to talk a little bit about the old New York Times bestseller list?
This will lead into our topic. Because this is the bestsellers list. We're using combined print and ebook fiction. Right now. So the top 10, we've got Masked Prey by John Sanford. This is the 30th book in the Prey series. Washington politicians ask Lucas Davenport to look into someone who is targeting their children. Number 9, The Book of Longings by Sue Monk Kidd. A scholarly young woman named Anna meets an 18-year-old Jesus and becomes caught up in the confluence of dangers.
Sorry, did you say an 18-year-old Jesus?
Yeah.
Like Jesus Christ.
I imagine that is what they're going for, yes.
Okay.
Unless it's, just a kid who's also named Jesus at 18.
I was just checking. I just wasn't sure what we're doing.
18-year-old Jesus caught up in a confluence of dangers. Number 8, American Dirt by Jenny Cummins. A bookseller flees Mexico for the United States with her son while pursued by the head of a drug cartel. Number 7 is Normal People by Sala Rooney. The connection between a high school star athlete and a loner ebbs and flows when they go to Trinity College in Dublin. The Wedding Dress by Daniel Steele is new this week. The triumphs and losses of one family over the last century are recounted as a symbolic piece of apparel gets handed down throughout the generations. You like that kind of stuff.
The Wedding Dress, that's a pretty generic title.
Yes, it is.
I mean, they often are with the Daniel Steele books. It's kind of like John Grisham. I mean, it's always something, but...
Yeah.
But that one, even by Daniel Steele standards, I feel like that title could use a little punching up.
But you like those kind of like look through a whole family throughout the centuries kind of stuff? Or at least you did with the Winter Among Us, whatever it was called. Pillars of the Earth.
I do. I don't know. Not Pillars of the Earth.
The other one.
You think you're thinking Century Trilogy. Fall of Giants is what it's called.
Yes, thank you.
I do, but I don't know. Like having a wedding dress be the lens does not really appeal to me.
Okay, yeah.
What else we got?
What else do we got? Walk the Wire at number 5 by David Baldacci, the 6th book in the Memory Man series. Decker and Jameson investigate a murder in North Dakota town in a fracking boom.
Oh.
Yeah. Do you think that's a boom? Like they were fracking and somebody was like, man, I just got to get a smoke on. And then boom. Fracking boom.
Probably. That's probably it. Speaking of The Wire, how was your rewatch of The Wire? Or I guess your watch for the first time. You were doing that a while back.
I'm on season 4. So I'm on episode 3 of season 4. I haven't watched it during this because it's so heavy. But I mean, I just watched Mindhunter, but I've been thinking now that I finished Mindhunter, I should just watch it. Honestly, I really only watch The Wire when Kendra's not here, and I don't know why that's true. But
interesting.
I've only watched it when she's been gone, and anytime she's here, I'm like, well, I can't watch The Wire. Kendra's upstairs.
Now, I mean, she'll never be gone now because we're just trapped in that house.
We're trapped forever.
Well, if it sweetens the pot at all, beloved TV icon Henry Winkler recently tweeted about discovering The Wire and how phenomenal it was. So if that tips the scales.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we just finished McMillions, which is an HBO documentary.
Yeah,
we watched the 6 episodes of that about the whole McMillion. It's so annoying because like as a kid I really thought we could win, and like we had the board on the fridge. And
if you're not, I remember what this is about. If you're not familiar with it, it's the scam. It's the scam involving the whole McDonald's monopoly. You could win $1 million, which was all not real. It was basically the premise of the show.
It was supposed to be real, and it was real. The problem was that people figured out how to. There were no legitimate $1 million prize winners for like from 1989 to like 2001.
That's crazy.
All that time, it was all a scam that involves like the mob and conspiracies and all this stuff. And in 2001, the FBI gets involved and starts figuring it out. And it's really frustrating because
I have a hard time believing the Monopoly guy's taking dirty money. He just seems so classy to me.
What's frustrating is that certain people, the Grimace
would take dirty money.
Yeah,
absolutely,
sure, absolutely.
But the Monopoly guy, I don't know.
What's frustrating is that certain people, they're paying reparations now, and their monthly reparations bill is less than my monthly college repayment. So there are people who literally were charged with mail fraud and conspiracy who are now paying less in monthly fees than I am for going to college.
Wow.
Yeah. Screw you, system!
That doesn't seem just.
It doesn't.
So I think your
one
anger...
of them's paying like $160 a month. And
I think that your anger in this case is right and just.
Oh, so frustrating. Anyway, number 4, Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. In a quiet town in North Carolina coast in 1969, a young woman who survived alone in the marsh becomes a murder suspect. You know what? During this time of lockdown, that marsh woman, she's queen. She's
she is
100% prepared for this.
She is queen. And I got to tell you, this book's never going to go away because it's out in like a fancy commemorative definitive edition. So it's here to stay.
And I mean, just a lone woman living in a marsh right now. We all wish we were self-sufficient.
Yeah.
Number 3, Little Fires Everywhere, Celeste Ng. An artist upends a quiet town outside Cleveland, which just finished its first season, or however long it's going on Hulu.
I've only heard good things about that. I've heard a lot of good things from Kevin Smith, actually, about that.
Okay.
So, you know.
Number 2, If It Bleeds by Stephen King, 2 weeks on the list. 4 novellas, Mr. Harrington's Phone, The Life of Chuck, Rat, and If It Bleeds.
Listen, I after the Institute, I'm not in a Stephen King mood.
He is not the author I would pick up at this time.
Probably not.
Yeah, like I'm trapped at home for weeks. Let me pick up The Shining.
I know. I was thinking, that's a book about isolation, but then I was like, I'm going to keep that off the list.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep that off the list. So.
Number 1, Camino Wins by John Grisham. The line between fact and fiction becomes blurred when an author of thrillers is found dead after a hurricane hits Camino Island. No.
You know, Camino Island was kind of like a dark horse for me because I did not expect to suddenly have Camino Island there and enjoy it because I was on a stretch of not liking John Grisham's, but Camino Island really worked for me. So I am looking forward to reading this.
Okay.
And that brings us to segment time. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, I've got what?
Do we have a special isolation theme?
Gosh, I don't know. You know, we should ask Ben to do one real quick. He's not doing anything.
I know, right? What, is he
Help
busy?
me,
Forget
I'm stuck in the house all day.
Do.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of Ben, did you have a good time doing that Dragnet episode we did a few weeks back?
That was fun, yeah.
Yeah. It's right in the podcast feed.
I mean, you edited it well because we were definitely as focused as we used to be on stage during the earlier rehearsals, just doing that. I mean, to put in context, when Nick was directing at Houghton College, and after the whole casting process, those first early rehearsals, nothing got done. We'd all sit there. Like, I'm surprised we even got like the pages we were supposed to in that time. Most of it was just making fun of each other, realizing somebody said something stupid, or talking about Spider-Man casting.
the early rehearsals of any play are
Yes.
really more about cast bonding than getting to it.
That's
But
true.
if you don't know what we're talking about, you can find it in the podcast feed or on the library's YouTube page. But Eric and I and lots of past podcast guests joined us to film an episode, or to record an episode of Dragnet, an episode that originally aired in 1953. Among those was Ben Lehman, who's our music maestro here for the podcast. But it was a fun experience because, in one scene, the scene with you, Michael, who played Joe Friday, and Ben Lehman, who played Harry Allison, all three of you were in a different state, and so like putting that all together. It was a fun experience, and we've gotten a lot of nice comments about that so far. You can find that in the podcast feed. You can find it on YouTube. But anyway, today we're going to be talking about some other things that you can do in isolation. So if you don't feel like recording an episode of the 1950s radio show Dragnet, maybe you can check out some of these books that might help you through the isolation. Eric, let me ask you this. This was your idea to do this segment, and I want to know, did you have a specific rubric for how you were choosing these books? Because I'm going to be real honest.
I didn't, because part of me was like, am I picking books that are similar to the situation going on right now, or am I just picking books that I think will take up your time and help ease you through this? And I think I landed on the ease you through this, though again, I've been reading Life Without People or Life Without Us. And one book I've really been going back to in my head, I haven't picked it up to reread it, but I've been thinking about it, has been The Plague by Camus. Yeah. You know the one I'm talking about? Albert Camus? Is it Albert Camus?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, it is.
Yeah, that one I just keep thinking about because of how it really just looks at it, how a bunch of different people handle the situation. And there's that one guy who, he kind of, the whole plague situation and the quarantine, it's kind of his best time. It's like when he starts excelling as a person. And then when quarantine is done and the plague is receded, he can't really handle it. And because he's built himself up in this new structure. And so opening up that town back to the world is kind of thrown through a loop. And I've been kind of as things are slowly reopening, I'm kind of I don't want to go back out there. I don't want to go back out there. Yeah. So I've been thinking a lot about that book.
I'll tell you, here's a book that I've been thinking about a lot, and that's The Scarlet Plague by Jack London. Oh, so right, you remember we did our Jack London spotlight back in February before things really hit the fan. But that book was written 100 years ago, but it was set about now. And it was all about a plague that just decimated the world and changed everything for everyone. So that everything going forward was completely different, and people were sort of thinking back on this pre-plague time. And it is, I wouldn't read it now because it would be so upsetting. But it's crazy how that happens.
Another example of The Simpsons predicting the future. That somebody was sharing a clip of a whole crowd outside Dr. Herbert's office, and he's like, the only cure for this is simple bed rest. Anything else would be a placebo. And someone in the crowd's like, where do we get these placebos? And they're like, maybe it's in this truck. And they knock over the truck, and a whole bunch of killer bees escape. So it's just, and man, I was watching more example of how Parks and Rec is basically a live action The Simpsons. We were watching the time capsule episode, and somebody's like, we don't know what the world will be like in 50 years. Maybe there'll be some sort of plague that decimates humanity. We don't know. And they're like, well, what do you want us to do about this? He's like, nothing. I'm just scared. I'm like, yeah. Anyway, all right, yeah. So, yeah, you wouldn't read The Scarlet Plague right now, for sure.
No, I would not do that right now. But I did sort of pick up.
Who were you channeling right there? Was that Shatner? No.
Oh, I wasn't purposely.
Would not pick that up.
I mean, I'll take it. Sure, why not?
I don't know who it was.
Why not?
Okay.
The first book that I'm going to mention is one that I've talked about on the podcast before, though not for a while, and it's called Desert Solitaire by Edward Abbey. So this is a nonfiction book, and it kind of checks both boxes.
Oh, I love boxes getting checked.
I know. It's about isolation, but it's also about exploring the great outdoors. So this is a nonfiction book, and it's written from the time when he was a park ranger in Utah and just had, oversight over this huge area, and basically just, would walk around completely by himself, explore this whole place, And there's some dangerous moments where he gets in a place where he was able to get down but not get back up. There's snakes
song.
and there's wildlife. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he was pissing the night away.
But this book to me, I just found captivating. And sometimes he does come off as like a real pretentious jerk. Like sometimes he really feels like, he's the only one who understands the outdoors and how to commune with the outdoors.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of part biography and part philosophy. But I think as a whole, the book really works. And I would recommend that. I think now is a good time to read it because, like I said, it gives you the best of both worlds. It deals with the isolation, but it also deals with, freedom. So it's an interesting read.
You'd say the book is talking about freedom?
Yeah.
Freedom!
Yeah.
Freedom!
Thank you.
I was just checking.
Yeah, you're right. No, that's the right kind.
I was just checking if it was talking about that. All right.
Hey, let me ask you, because I sort of wondered if this was on both of our lists. Do you have The Martian on your list?
I don't have The Martian.
Oh, okay.
I see you have The Martian on your list.
I did. Well, I assumed that would be one that we could both agree on because that's the ultimate in
sure.
Castaway stories.
Yeah, it's a Castaway story, absolutely. The ultimate Castaway?
Yeah, I mean, and I'm feeling a little bit of a kinship with him because that character spends most of his time eating prepackaged food and watching like sitcoms from the 70s.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I can relate to that. But what's on your list? What's your first step?
All right. Well, I mean, I guess I got weird. You can decide whether or not my books are weird. First one I'm going to pick, I've even got it right here on camera, is Our Dumb Century by The Onion.
Okay. All right.
It's a collection of The Onion, so I don't know if it counts as a book. It doesn't count as a book.
Yes, of course it counts as a book. Yes.
So what The Onion did with this thing, and I don't even know how I got this copy. I think I just picked it up when I was a janitor at a college. But they act as if The Onion has been around for 100 years, and like the first thing in here, and so they like print them out like in the 1900s. And so they printed out in the old style of like newspapers and everything, how that would look. And so they basically go through the century and onion, the world and its history. Mm-hmm. And it is so funny. Like the whole Nixon thing becomes like a 3-part thing about Nixon on the run from the feds and it all ending in a shootout.
Nice.
But I think right now it's kind of nice to go back and realize, you know what? We've always been stupid. We've always, as a society, we've always kind of sucked, and we've always done very stupid things, and in 20, 30, 50, 100 years, we are going to be made fun of just as much as we're making fun of the Titanic in this one.
And you take comfort in that.
I guess I take comfort in it, in that, like, we're just part of a long history of dumb creatures making dumb choices. But okay. I think it's also just, it's just very funny. And, the headline for the day the Titanic goes down says, "World's largest metaphor hits iceberg."
Mm-hmm.
So, depending on how funny you find that kind of stuff. But I think it's just kind of, it's nice to remind you that you're part of a bigger picture, and it will help make you laugh through that. So, The Onion collects a whole bunch of stuff. It collects, its own stuff, and it does other specials, but there's something about Our Dumb Century making fun of like Woodstock and the T-Rex. When they discovered the T-Rex skeleton for the first time, it says "Bones of Satan found." It's just, that's just it. I just think it's nice to connect with history in that way.
Yes.
So,
and that's what you're describing is kind of why I enjoyed the Daily Show, when the Daily Show used to put out like America and Earth.
Yeah, I have
those two.
I think I have Earth, which is or maybe I have one of them. I think I have Our Dumb World by The Onion, and I have America, but yeah, I read Earth by Daily Show too, and it's so funny. They talk about like there's one where they're like killing it, childhood. Way to go, childhood. The innocence there. Like killing it, vaccines. Way to go, vaccines. So I pick out, because the thing too is that like some of the headlines, some of the sections are so small. Like if you're just reading this, you might skip a whole bunch. So you're just gonna go back through it. Also, great book to keep in your bathroom.
Oh,
you know what?
You got real, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're in your bathroom a lot during this quarantine too. You're not out there in public restrooms. You're using
True.
your toilet or no one else's toilet right now.
That's right.
So,
And your toilet paper. Don't forget that. That's,
don't use... I mean, I guess if you have to,
key.
use the Onion, but I would recommend Our Dumb Century.
Okay.
So,
do you have any sci-fi on your list? I've got a couple here, and here's one that I think you'll agree with.
I sure do, but go ahead.
Loneliest Girl in the Universe by Lauren Fletcher.
Yeah, there's another like super isolated, even more the Castaway than the Martian.
That's true.
She's further in space by herself.
That's right. Yeah. So if you're not familiar with this book, it was our YA for Adults book club pick, I want to say in 2019, and although it could have been, who knows, but we had Lauren Fletcher, the author. We did,
James,
yes.
In 2019,
and that's such a fun interview because this book is very
or was
twisty.
it 2018?
I honestly don't know, but that was a really fun interview because this book is. We ended up just having to say, look, this is going to be a spoiler episode because we have to talk about everything that happens in the book because a lot happens, a lot of it's unexpected, and it goes in directions that you wouldn't expect. But this book is all about a teenage girl who finds herself like the sole survivor of a colony ship that's just blasted off into space, and it deals a lot with her loneliness and
she was born on the ship.
She was born on the ship, yeah. So it deals with her need to connect with people and some of the choices that she makes because of that need.
Yeah, like
do
us.
not serve her well. Do not serve her well. So
like us,
I think that's a perfect book.
She's connecting with people through emails and TV shows.
Yes,
soap
exactly.
operas.
So that is a book and like basically Zoom videos as well.
Yep.
So it's a book for our times, but I love that book anyway. But I think even more now, it's a perfect time to read that book.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of sci-fi, I have picked the Illustrated Encyclopedia of Science Fiction by John.
Is that the one Is that the one that's like your old school favorite when you were a kid?
No. That's a different book. This one is. Was it by DK? You would think it is. Of course, it's by DK.
Sounds like it.
It is a massive tome of the history of science fiction books and literature, and special sections are given to movies as well. And it goes through authors and will tell you like their prominent works and their bibliography. And I mean, it's a fun read by itself, but then it's also gonna just send you off reading everything else that you read in it. You're gonna be like, oh well, now I've got to read that book that they just talked up. So it's fun to see how like science fiction and fantasy have evolved as the genres, and it's fun to then find your favorite authors and see what he has to say about them. But then also new like this guy right here, Italo Calvino. I'm not familiar with him, but there he is, sci-fi author, born 19. I didn't know this guy. Maybe I should check him out.
I do. You got him right in an encyclopedia.
And I
so
tell you
why
what, it's beautifully illustrated too. So it's
nice.
I think you digging through that the science fiction illustrated encyclopedia. It's gonna take up some time. It's like one of those really nice coffee table books that you actually want to read through. So.
Also, if I may just say, sounds like a decent bathroom book.
Yeah, it is. It's a fantastic bathroom book.
Okay.
Yeah. Have we done a bathroom book episode? We had to.
I mean, we're basically doing one right now. But,
I think we did. Because I remember I talked about the War Letters book, and I think I brought up our dumps. I think I'm giving all my bathroom book suggestions.
You could be. Yeah, you might be. You might be. I mean, I couldn't make a list like this without including at least a Star Trek book. So the one that I'm putting forth is perfect for this, but is also available as an audiobook read by James Doohan, who plays Scotty,
sure.
through Libby or Overdrive. So you can check this out, and it's sound effects and music in the works. So and James Doohan is great with voices, so he does really good impressions of all the crew. But this is basically a bottle episode kind of a story. It's called Kobayashi Maru by Julie Eckler. And if you're not familiar with the Kobayashi Maru, it's a test that everybody in Starfleet has to take this command test to basically judge their skills and their instincts in a no-win scenario. So what the frame story for this book is, a few of the crew members, so Captain Kirk, Sulu, Chili, and Dr. McCoy, are in a shuttle.
Right.
And they crash, and they have no hope of rescue, and they're just marooned. They're all stuck here. They can't leave the shuttle. they got nowhere to go. And so the Kobayashi Maru comes up, and they each take a turn explaining what happened during their Kobayashi Maru test. So it's very much like a bottle episode of a 90s sitcom. But it's just a lot of fun. They're trapped. They can't go anywhere. So they're just like telling stories with their friends. And again, that's available as an audiobook on Overdrive or Libby.
Mm-hmm. And is the Kobayashi Maru in episodes of Star Trek, or was it because it's in the movie?
It is in The Wrath of Khan, and it's in Star Trek, like Chris Pine's Star Trek.
Okay, so, but like, they only show it in the Chris Pine one, right?
The only time you actually see it happen, well, I mean, the Kobayashi Maru is happening for Savick in Wrath of Khan.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So you see Savick
is Wrath
take
of Khan
the
where the one where he said I cheated or something?
Yeah, you find out, and that they go into that in the book. You find out that Kirk did some rewriting of the program to make it a little bit more accessible for him.
And then in the
which
Chris
is
Pine
something
movie, they literally show that happen.
You actually see it happen. Yes. Yeah.
I don't believe in no-win situations.
Exactly. Kobayashi Maru by Julie Eckler.
Yeah. Okay. So watch Wrath of Khan, read that book, watch Chris Pine.
Sure. I mean, the book is like recounting the story. So yeah, if you want to see like the classic crew members do the Kobayashi Maru, this is the book for you.
Why would you get Scotty to read it?
They're all trapped. They're all trapped in social. Well, James Doohan is does a lot with voices. Like he did a lot of like he made a lot of the old Klingon language in the show, but in the animated series, James Doohan voiced basically every guest star. Like sometimes he's doing 4 or 5 voices in those episodes, and he was a real mimic and was able to do that with his voice. So his Captain Kirk is spot on.
Wow.
And the Sulu's pretty good too. So.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that about Doohan.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah.
All right. Last of the weirder choices, because also, you know what? I think I talked about this stuff in our nonfiction segment.
Oh, okay.
That's so long ago.
Deep
that
cut.
Was like episode 20 or something. This is the one you were remembering. Writing science fiction and fantasy. Learn how to get the science and magic right. Develop believable fantasy. Anyways, by Crawford Killian. You actually got me like a first edition of this. That came with the CD program that I didn't know ever came with it.
Now you do.
Yeah. Again, just I mean, this, I don't know. I don't have the energy to like do anything creative right now, but hopefully reading this would spur somebody to then do something creative during this time. It also just kind of goes through some more history, but I think I said this on the nonfiction one. The reason I like the writing science fiction and fantasy book by Crawford Killian is that it made me feel like a slightly better reader of sci-fi and fantasy, and I understood the subgenres and the tropes and certain metaphors a little bit better going in than I did before reading that. So, yeah, I think in terms of like taking up your time and keeping your mind occupied, that book will help. So,
okay.
Yeah.
This is another that we've discussed in the past. I think it was on my Books of the Year episode there. But Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn. So
which
this
you
is one
aren't excited for because you don't think you're not excited for the movie because you don't think Amy Adams is going to be good in this.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't. But you know, Amy Adams to me is like the new Anne Hathaway. It's like enough already, you know.
Frick.
But
take that, Anne Hathaway.
She didn't ask for that. Look, we're all just
Screw
you
for being the most beautiful woman in the world, Anne Hathaway.
All right.
Hey, can you?
But what? Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn. So this was sort of like if Rear Window and The Girl in the Train like had a love child, it would be The Woman in the Window. I think actually this is perfect.
Woman, the Train, and which one else?
Rear Window.
Rear Window. Okay.
Like Hitchcock. Yeah.
Oh, so it's kind of like a Graduate situation.
In what way?
The first Girl in the Train is a younger book.
Okay.
And
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
Rear Window is trying to seduce.
Sorry. You mean the actual romance between the Hitchcock film,
Mrs. Robinson,
and the new book.
Yeah.
Okay.
The woman, the girl on the train is going to walk in and be like, "Are you trying to seduce me, Rear Window?"
Yes. I understand the metaphor now, and I'm all for it. Yes, that's exactly correct. But no, this one, This one I think elevates that whole like a broken woman solves a mystery bubble that happened a few years back.
Sure did, yeah.
I think the mystery really it's a page turner. It's a quick read. It gives you a lot of intrigue. I think this is the perfect one when you're sitting stuck in your house. Get some coffee and sit down and read this book.
Sure.
What else you got?
Okay. What else do I got?
I don't know.
I'm gonna suggest, and listen, I'm kind of a hypocrite because I've only read the first 4 books of this series. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
I saw some people listing like the Lord of the Rings and other stuff. I do not agree with that. I'm gonna say the Wheel of Time series, and I've only read the first 4 books, but what is it? 13 is the total.
Something like that.
And then a couple of prequels. I've loved the first 4 books that I've read, and as I've read them, each book has gotten better and better than the last one. And I hear that stops being true in the middle of the series, which is fine. But
yes,
they are just the world building is just so rich and so detailed, and it's written in such.
That's true.
But I think it's very readable. They're very long, but whereas like Lord of the Rings is its reputation is very dry. I really think there's a lot to sink your teeth into with the Wheel of Time series, with the books that I've read. I think the action is weirdly well described in a way that usually I turn my brain off when I'm reading action scenes in books. Like with the Wheel of Time series, I'm like in it. It's the first couple of books that I've read have had some of the most epic moments in fantasy that I've ever read. I think, like, if you're gonna have to pick like one fantasy series to go through, I'm gonna suggest the Wheel of Time series, and not
my
just
wife
because
is
of Lane.
Huge fan.
Yeah,
huge
she's super excited for the Amazon series, right?
She is. Yes, I've only read the first 2 books, and as I've been on record many a times, like fantasy is not my genre. But I do have to say, like, I agree with you that they really held my attention. And there are moments from those books that I can recall like crystal clear. Like they were so well done and so well described that I feel like it's something that I watched, not just read. So while I don't intend to read the next 10 books, I'm glad that I read the 2 that I did, and I think that's a pretty solid recommendation.
So that would be that recommended, just that massive series. So
okay,
I gotta pick up the 5th book.
Mine, we're gonna go back a ways here because it's Tarzan of the Apes.
The first Tarzan.
Yes. Tarzan of the Apes.
Now,
by
is this
Edgar
where
Rice
Tarzan is a detective, or is this where Tarzan is actually on the Titanic?
This
would you read a book with Tarzan on the Titanic?
I fully believe that book exists. I fully believe that because this, like with the Matrix,
what
you just want to say Tarzan. There's one. There's one Tarzan. There can be only one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the first book I really think is amazing. I think it's one of the best books I've read.
Mm-hmm.
It is so engaging, and you just really feel for that character, and you get a sense of like his experience and the way he grows up, the way he figures out how to communicate, and all that. It first of all really speaks to isolation and a sense of being on your own in a way that you're not used to, but of course Tarzan, I mean, he grows up that way, so he can't quite figure out what's wrong. He just knows that something is, and as he goes through and figures that out, I just think it's a really well done book, and the characters are much more like if you only see the Disney movie, for example, the character of Clayton and some of the others in there are much more. There's much more depth than you might think, but it really, book 2, he's basically a secret agent, and it's terrible.
Okay.
But that first book, if you haven't read the first book, I definitely recommend it.
We need to either find this Tarzan on the Titanic book or write this Tarzan on the Titanic book. So,
yeah.
I don't know.
I'll this harkens back to the early days where we wanted to write a sequel to a book that needed a sequel. So I mean, if we just yes.
And then we wrote a book for a sequel that actually didn't have a sequel.
Yes. There are many, many sequels to 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, just as there are many to Tarzan, but we could workshop this, absolutely. What else you got?
All right, I'm going to suggest the entire Sandman comic book series by Neil Gaiman.
Wow. Okay.
the 10 volumes, and there's two other ones that I really like. Endless. What's it called? I've got it right here. Let me just take it up. Sandman Overture and Sandman Endless Nights. That's what it's called. Yeah, I'm going to recommend the entire Sandman series because, like what I was saying about Wheel of Time, it's just rich with world building and all the small little details. It goes super deep into just the idea of what stories are and concepts. There's all these like stories where Morpheus just kind of interacts, so it's all this different stuff, but like the whole dream world, the dreaming, it's just so interesting. I think it's just something that like in this time you can just really sink your teeth into and get incredibly lost into it. And it's also considered one of the greatest pieces of graphic novels ever made. So you can't go.
That's what they tell me.
Yeah, I mean, it's not for everybody. My wife read the first one, and she can handle serial killers, but it gets very dark, and deals with some really dark, hard to read topics at times. But I think it's one of those things you can get super lost into. So if I was going to suggest like one comic book, over Watchmen or any of that other stuff that would like take you through it, I'm gonna say Sandman.
Okay.
10 volumes. So.
You just got quiet and distant.
Well, yeah, that's how I get when I think about the Sandman.
Oh, there we go. Okay, and I can hear you again. I've got 3 more. How many more are on your list?
I can keep going, but yeah, hit me up.
Okay. Well, this one's a little off the wall, but I'm going to say there's a play called Butterflies Are Free.
I've read this
by
play.
Leonard Gersh. It's a wonderful play. I like it a lot.
Was it the bikini scene?
Well, yes. I mean, I think just the sexuality of the whole thing, like sort of innocent sexuality, would be difficult to do right. But the premise of this is you have a guy who breaks away from his very controlling home, gets an apartment all by himself. His mother specifically doesn't want him to do this because he's blind, and she doesn't trust that he can do this on his own, but he needs his space, and so he goes, and he's gone from just having supreme control over everything he does, someone else having supreme control over him, to having this sort of freedom. And the apartment next to them, and there's a door in between, a very free spirit young lady lives there. And the two of them hit it off, and they have such different backgrounds. But it's sort of about this little bubble that the two of them create just within the walls of these two apartments, where they kind of, I don't know, have this really special thing that it's just between the two of them, trapped in these two little apartments. And so that to me sort of said, well, that's maybe the positive side of, being one place, not being able to go anywhere else is this relationship that forms between the two of them. So I thought maybe that was a more optimistic look at being trapped home in your apartment. But it's an excellent play, and there's also a movie with Goldie Hawn as well.
Oh, right. I remember I never watched that one, though.
I honestly don't. I've read the play several times.
Is it just
I can't
like
remember
4 characters if you were to cast it? Like you'd only have 4 people?
It is 4 characters.
Is
the
mom
you have
and like someone else who's like I don't know, like landlord or a friend?
No,
I don't remember
Goldie Hawn is like an aspiring actress, and there's somebody who, her character anyway, there's somebody who comes in and is kind of like going to make her a star.
Okay.
But you definitely don't trust that person.
Right, sure. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, you're right. It definitely has that element, though. All right, so it's been forever since I read this, but there's a book called The Blue Zones. Lessons for Living Longer from People Who Lived the Longest, by Dan Buettner. It's like a travelogue. He goes to all these different locations that have like the highest concentration of what is it? Centurions? Not centurions. No, now I'm confused. Yeah. What's the man and machine power extreme versus people who live to 100?
I think it's just Centurions.
Centurions, okay. Centurions, man and machine power extreme. Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Centurions, yeah. And like he kind of digs into what they do in their life, why they're 110 and able to like lift 80 pounds and carry it down a mountain and all this stuff. And I think this is why I want to be careful, because I'm remembering like some of the stuff is stuff I think you can still do in this. Like there's a lot of nice mental stuff in here, such as a lot of people will have family shrines, and so just the act of having a wall that is just like a shrine of your family and legacy, and it reminds you that you're part of something. It's not just you. You're part of this. You're part of this tree.
Right.
It talks about diets, which is a little rough for some people right now in terms of like what we can eat, but
that's for sure.
It's it kind of talks about what they eat. It talks about how having a garden gives you something to get out to do. It keeps you physical, and so just all these like different things that these people do and share amongst them consistently, and what helps them. What he kind of talks about being the reasons why they live so long. So I don't know. This time maybe it's just good to read that and be like, okay, here are maybe some things I can do in this situation right now. So yeah, The Blue Zones.
All right.
By Dan Buettner.
All right. Something like that. One of those names.
Yeah.
In any situation where tasked with recommending books, there's going to be a Jack Finney in here because he's my all-time favorite.
Sure.
But I'm going to say Invasion of the Body Snatchers because it is a story about needing to stay away from other people and needing to isolate yourself and avoid spreading something that is taking everybody down. And a lot of Jack Finney's work deals with the idea of a person being an outsider in whatever situation they're in. So Time and Again, or the Woodrow Wilson Dime, or even Assault on a Queen, they're all stories about somebody who kind of has their own personal mission or goal, and sticking to that separates them from the people around them. So that's a theme that he explores a lot, but I think particularly well in Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and it seems a little relevant to the times.
Right, sure. Yeah, I haven't really been talking about like books about like plagues and apocalypses and whatnot, but if I was going to, I would suggest Station 11 by Emily St. John Mendel, who also has a new book out right now, but I haven't read. The Glass Castle, am I right saying that? No, that's the other book.
No, yeah, that's Jeanette Walls.
Yeah. Anyway, that's a new book out. And also The Canticle of Leibowitz by... Oh, hold on, I got it right here. I can't remember the name of the author. A Canticle for Leibowitz by Walter M. Miller Jr., which deals with some monks post-nuclear war, slowly helping rebuild society with what the information they have. And also, what was the other one I was going to suggest?
I assumed you were going to say World War Z.
World War Z, yeah, it's very entertaining. We've talked about that a lot, mainly because we did the book club.
We did a whole episode, yeah.
There was maybe it was just Station 11, Canticle of Leibowitz. I don't know if I would suggest Lord of the Flies right now. It's pretty depressing. The thing about Station 11 and Canticle for Leibowitz is that I find them, even at their lowest points, still inspiring or uplifting. Like Canticle for Leibowitz gives you some hope in mankind. Station 11 kind of shows you the beauty that can come out of all that destruction. So, yeah, those two I would suggest. If you want something that's also kind of scary and whatnot, then World War Z, because I'm sure we'll be getting the coronavirus version of this in a year or two.
Definitely.
Just Tales, The Year We Lost by whoever.
That's a good title. It's a good title already.
Thanks.
Oh, speaking of titles, The Glass Hotel is Emily St. John Mandel's current book.
Yes. Okay.
All right, for my final book, this is a graphic novel that I just randomly, I don't know, I ordered this for the library because of the author and because of the reviews and things, but it's called Moon Cop by Tom Gauld, and it's just,
it's sad.
It is a very, it's sad, but it's also a little hopeful as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it is just what it says. It's about a man who's a cop on the moon, and it's a very simple graphic novel, a very simple story, but it deals with isolation and loneliness, but also like a layer of hope and things to look forward to. I thought it was a really kind of a beautiful story. And I think, now more than ever, it makes sense to pick that up. We do have it in our collection. So when the big green doors open, come in and check out Moon Cop. Actually, I think we have all of these that I've mentioned so far.
They are big green doors. Yeah.
Very big.
Heavy.
Very big.
Heavy. Yeah. Strong wind
All
will
right.
knock you right over with those things.
Do you want to bring us home with your final pick?
Oh, boy. It's rough because I've already said a comic book. I should have just said, here's all the comic books you should read.
Well, you throw in a couple of titles.
Message me for comic books you should read. What's another one? You know what? I'll just say the whole Calvin and Hobbes series, the complete Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah.
That will bring some joy to your life. Just they're so funny. They're so warm at times, and at the end, with there being magic everywhere, it's just so good. And if you haven't read Calvin and Hobbes, then I guess that's kind of like, I guess you're the person I'm telling this to, because you should read Calvin and Hobbes. It's great, and it's a classic for a reason. But if you have read Calvin and Hobbes, there's nothing more I really need to say to you. It's just it's just so good. And reading it as an adult, when I read it as a kid, it felt like I was reading things about my life that I was doing, like just being outside and in the woods and all this other stuff. But reading it as an adult, it does take you back there, but you also understand the headier jokes more. So I think Calvin Hobbes is like the pinnacle of newspaper comic strips. I don't think it's ever going to get better than Calvin and Hobbes. And if they all disappeared and all we had was Calvin and Hobbes, we'd still be okay as a society. So there you go.
All right.
Calvin
I think it's a solid choice.
Yeah. I guess comic book wise, I don't know. You've never dug it, but Batman No Man's Land.
Oh yeah.
Would I guess kind of fit the world right now.
Yeah.
So dug that. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, that's a good choice.
Also, get a hold of Dungeons and Dragons, the player's guide. See if there's something in there you like. Maybe you can do that over Zoom.
Yeah, how are you not leading a Dungeons and Dragons game for us already? How has that not happened?
Via Zoom?
I don't understand.
I guess I don't trust everybody to tell me what they really rolled over camera.
Oh, I see.
All right, you need a 19. Good, I got a 19.
Yeah.
Did you?
What are the odds?
Did you get a 19?
Yeah. That's fair.
But yeah, get you know what? It's 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons is definitely something I would recommend. I've played different versions of D&D, but I've always been kind of intimidated to run it. But I got myself the copies of 5th edition a while ago and ran some games with it, and it works pretty well. So I think if you're new to the whole tabletop gaming and you want to do something, I mean, this is as good as it can get when it comes to what games can I play over the internet with somebody, because all they need is to have dice. If they have dice, that's fine, and dice can get pretty cheap. So yeah, I'd at least suggest the player's manual. See if there's something in there you like, and then go for there. And there's virtual dice. You can if you use the program Roll20, they provide you with the dice there and character sheets. So
wow,
yeah.
Well, I think you need to commit on mic right now that you're going to run a D&D game for us over some sort of platform.
Zoom? Yeah, Zoom or something. Yeah.
Yes.
I need to commit.
Is that a firm commitment?
I can put something together.
Yes. Okay. All right. Well, that's going to do it on our quarantine books here. We'll put this list out on Twitter and all that, so you can find these again. And as I said, most of these are available at the David A. Howe Public Library. Some on ebook or audiobook through the Libby or Overdrive app. So I hope you'll find some of them there.
If you haven't used Libby or Overdrive, either at the David A. Howe Public Library in STLS or whatever version your library has, I'm pretty sure like Overdrive is pretty universal.
Yeah, I think so.
And even in other countries, they have. I've talked to people in Europe who have things like this that aren't called Overdrive, but they're called something else. It's the same program. So, like, wherever you are, your library is most definitely offering ebooks and digital offerings. So if you have a library card, you can still be getting new stuff with that.
Absolutely.
So you should definitely check that out right now.
And I will just say locally, prior to this, at the start of this year, we had all agreed as a system to way increase what we were putting into ebooks and audiobooks. So the collection is more robust than it's ever been, and it's a perfect time for it. So just as Eric says, give us a call or send us an email. Find us on Twitter at All the Book Show or David A. Howe Library, and we'll get you set up. If you don't have a card, we can do that remotely as well. And I'm sure if you're not local to us, your local library can do the same thing. So get in touch with them and let's do some reading. Okay. Yeah. Well, boy, I mean, this is like a mini series of an episode that we've done. We'll have to cut it into 4 parts. But it's been nice to actually record a new episode again.
Yeah.
I really feel like it's been several months now since we've done it. So
it'll be good next time we record one where I won't have to be like, oh gosh, what have I read?
Yep.
And just go here's a whole bunch of X-Men comics.
Back in the old swing of it. All right. Well, remember, you can find us at soundcloud.com/allthebooks or anywhere you find your podcast. So take a minute to rate and review and subscribe and tell your friends, tell your grandma. Maybe your grandma could get into podcasts.
Yeah.
We're all trapped at home right now.
Yeah, tell her it's like an old radio show.
And we even have an old radio episode.
Start her out with the old radio show episode we did.
You know what? Can I be honest here? My grandma loved it.
Did she?
The Dragnet episode. Yeah, she did.
Yeah,
she did. Okay. Anything else you want to say to our friends?
I was so scared. I thought that identity fraud was never going to be dealt with.
You sound just like her. It's crazy. All right. We're going to bring it to a close here at the All the Book Show, but we'll see you next time.
Bye.